All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to a super fast revision explainer on the brand new Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita, or BNS. We're going to blitz through the absolute core of the first 6 units, perfect for getting you prepped and ready for your exams.
So, I know what you're thinking. How on earth do you cram 6 huge units of India's new criminal code into just 5 minutes? Well, stick with me, because that's exactly what we're about to do.
Our whole goal here is to boil down those massive, complex concepts into something that's super clear, easy to remember, and just efficient. Think of this as your ultimate study shortcut. Let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the absolute basics. What even is a crime? Then we'll look at punishments and then dive into the specific stuff. Crimes against people, the state, public order, and finally, property and reputation.
Okay, let's kick things off with Unit 1. This is the foundation of everything. What actually makes an act a crime in the first place? The entire system of criminal law really comes down to this one simple equation you see right here. Actus Reus plus Mens Rea. A guilty act plus a guilty mind. You have to have both. For example, if you walk out of a cafe and accidentally grab someone else's umbrella thinking it's yours, well, you did the act, the actus reus, but you didn't have the guilty mind, the mens rea, so no crime.
Now, every crime pretty much follows these 4 stages. First, there's the intention. It's just a thought in your head. Then comes preparation, getting the stuff you need. But stage 3, attempt, is the big one. That's the first real step you take, and it's usually where the law can step in and say, nope, you're liable now, even if you fail. And of course, the final stage is the commission. The crime is done.
Okay, so we know what a crime is, but what happens after one is committed? Let's talk about the consequences, the punishments, and, just as important, the legal excuses or defenses that the law recognizes.
So, why do we even have punishments? Well, there are 4 main ideas behind it. The deterrent theory is all about scaring other people off. The preventative one is simple. Stop the criminal from doing it again, like with jail time. Retributive is that classic eye for an eye idea, balancing the scales of justice. And finally, the more modern reformative idea tries to actually rehabilitate the person.
And this is absolutely crucial for exams. Not every bad act is a crime. The BNS lays out these general exceptions. For instance, a child under 7 is legally seen as incapable of committing a crime. Or, if you do something because of a genuine mistake of fact, without any criminal intent, the law basically gives you a pass.
Right, now let's take all those principles and apply them to the most serious stuff, crimes against the human body.
Okay, let's clear up something that confuses so many people: culpable homicide versus murder. It really all comes down to what's going on in the person's head. For it to be murder, there has to be a direct intention to kill. But with culpable homicide, it's about the knowledge that what you're doing is likely to cause death, even if you weren't setting out to kill them specifically.
Here's a little exam hack for you. When you see dowry death, just burn the number 7 into your brain. The law specifies that the death must happen within 7 years of marriage. And what's the section in the BNS? You guessed it, Section 87. Easy to remember.
Okay, we've talked about crimes against individuals. Now let's zoom out and look at crimes that threaten the whole country and our public peace.
So what's the deal with unlawful assembly versus rioting? It's actually super simple. An unlawful assembly is just 5 or more people getting together with a shared illegal plan. It only becomes rioting the second that group actually uses force or violence. So one is about the intent and the other's about the action.
And for your revision, here's a killer acronym, SARPO. It's a great way to remember the main offenses against public tranquility. It covers crimes against the state, the army, rioting, offenses by public servants, and obstruction of justice. SARPO. Got it?
Building on that, let's roll into our next unit. This one deals with all the crimes that mess with how society functions, things that hit our justice system, our public health, and even religious harmony.
A huge part of this unit is perjury, or giving false evidence. And you have to understand, this is a big deal. Lying under oath isn't just a lie. As cases like Narayana Swamy versus State have shown, it's a direct assault on the entire justice system. And the punishments are no joke. They can go all the way up to life in prison.
Then you have public nuisance. This is a really broad category that covers pretty much anything that annoys or endangers the public as a whole. Blocking a road for a party, blasting music at 2 a.m., polluting a local stream. All those things we complain about are actually covered by the law.
And finally, our last unit,
let's talk about crimes against our stuff, our property, and that thing that's sometimes even more valuable, our reputation.
I love this slide because it shows the progression so clearly. It's like a ladder of crime. It all starts with simple theft, just dishonestly taking something. Then, you add instant violence or the threat of it, and boom, it becomes robbery. And when 5 or more people team up to do that, it escalates to the highest level, decodity.
The law also protects your good name through the offense of defamation, and it comes in 2 flavors. You've got libel, which is permanent. Think of a nasty article or a social media post that stays there. Then you have slander, which is fleeting, like spoken words or gestures. So basically, one is permanent, the other is temporary, but both can seriously harm your reputation.
So, let's wrap this all up. This table is your cheat sheet, your bird's eye view of everything we just covered. We started with the basic crime formula, looked at punishments and defenses, and then went through all the specific offenses against the body, the state, public order, and finally property and reputation. That, right there, is the bedrock of the BNS.
And that brings me to one last thing to think about. In this crazy new world of AI and deepfakes, where you can create a convincing fake video of anyone saying anything, are our old laws on things like forgery and defamation really ready for what's coming?
I'm really curious to know what you think about that, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if this quick revision session helped you out, do me a favor, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and definitely subscribe for more deep dives into the law. Thanks so much for watching.